at this point, we've already finished pre-flighting. Getting ready to start the engine. That's off. You can hear us hit the starter and me slowly introduce the fuel. You'll hear it click on right about there.
At 15%?
Yep. And there it is. Right there. You'll hear the engine. It'll sit at idle, still holding onto that. You're supposed to wait till the rotor hits 15%, but this won't come up to speed for some reason. So we just make sure that the blade is spinning as we do it.
And you're looking for 15% then on N1?
Yes.
And you're not worrying about rotor as long as the rotor's turning?
Yep. Rotor's turning, and then we're just watching that. That should be coming up. Once it starts getting fuel, it'll come up rapidly-ish. It'll be slow, but faster than pace. Just steady all the way up to 6.
So 60%?
58%, that's when I'll just let go of the starter and it's self-sustaining at that point, still keeping it in the idle, making sure that there's pressure down to keep it from doing its own thing. Monitoring the collective, making sure that we don't have crazy buffeting, making sure that it feels good, it's not vibrating, which you will feel if it is. And yeah, we're just sitting here now.
At this point, what are you checking gauge-wise?
The entire time we're monitoring that. Even like as we're starting, we're monitoring that.
Which is turbine outlet temperature?
Yep. Making sure it doesn't get near the red line. Sit about, it'll come up to about here and then slowly come down, sit around here. Making sure this doesn't try to rapidly climb up. Checking our pressures, temperatures, transmission pressure. Monitoring the lights, making sure they're not on. Yeah. And when we did with the battery, we were watching that. After we started it, and once the rotors came up to speed, we started charging at 5 amps, or 50 amps. Came up to about there. We just sat here for a minute, or a couple minutes, just letting it settle in. Watching the clock as it goes around.
So you're letting the engine stabilize now before running it up to full power?
And as you can hear in the video, we are bringing it up slowly. Fast than I did in the video. That's about full power right there. And we're watching that. It'll come up from here and go up to, it'll sit about right there. You'll probably hear the engine in the video like whirring up and down. It's the governor trying to think. And I'm just correcting it by just steady increases on that. I'm waiting to watch it come up or fluctuate. Keeping it going until it sits right about there, just kissing at 10. And the green is good, but you want to bring it up to 100%, get it up into there a little bit. I'll monitoring that. That should be out by that point. All that should be on. That's the only one that stays on. And that's just because we don't have everything hooked up. And just sitting like this, and then you hit the timer.
So I think you ran it at full power for 4 or 5 minutes or so. What during this full power run? Why don't you go over the pre-flight checklist that we don't show in this video? What kind of things are you going over here?
So we're basically just going through here. We skip a lot of this stuff because we're not flying. We make sure that this goes all the way left, right, sits at idle, idle stops it.
What is this? I can't see.
You can bring it over. You can see it's the collective.
Okay.
We're just checking the throttle with collective.
Sure.
Yeah, we're making sure that all these are good, which we pop the ones to make us fly. So.
And these are circuit breakers?
Yes. I forgot, you're not moving it up and down to look at them. Checking all that, all these caution lights and warning lights, like rotor RPM, master caution, engine out. All these are illuminated. Press the test transmission template. We're testing the caution lights. Lifting the collective so we can hear the audio warning that we're low power. Making sure that the frictions are on. Then you hold the dinker switch back for 7 seconds just to reset the governor. And then you just check that the throttle's closed. Master fuel comes on and then you're ready to start, which starts easy. You just push the starter button and get ready to introduce fuel. And at this point we're starting to throttle it down slowly just to sit at the idle for a couple minutes.
You have to sit at idle for 2 minutes before shutdown, or what is the shutdown procedure?
It is 2 minutes on the clock. A little bit longer is a good practice just because I like to let it sit for a minute just to stabilize. You're mainly making sure that this is stabilized because you don't want the temperature to overheat as you shut it down. You're making sure that your N1 has come back down to idle, that your pressures and temps are still good, nothing's going wrong with it, or it's not on fire or trying to do its own thing. And then
So
shutdown procedure is fairly simple in that way. You just let it sit for 2 minutes and you just hit the idle release, cut it all the way off, kill the master fuel, and then just monitor the temp to make sure it doesn't overtemp, because it will come down to about here, at about 200, about 2, and slowly go back up to around 300. But you're monitoring to make sure this doesn't rapidly go all the way back up. If that happens, or if you have to shut down prematurely, you kill all fuel and you hold the starter for a couple seconds just to make sure
keep air blowing through.
Yeah, just to help cool it down. Yeah, even as we're sitting here, we're just talking about how it's doing, trying to feel the cyclic out, make sure it's not, that we have a comfortable weight, because the wind will take the blades and it will buff it fairly good. Kind of scared me a little bit yesterday when I first encountered it.
Yesterday I heard you gave it some left rudder and started to spin the bird around.
Yeah, so we put the tail rotor back on and re-engaged it, so we wanted to see if it was functioning properly.
Pitch change on it?
Yeah, the pitch was changing, all that. It was functioning, it wasn't acting weird.
And it did function.
Yeah, and as you can see, I just hit the idle release and cut the fuel off on that, on the bird. So then we turn the master fuel off and we just watch the temperature.
Now it's just going to take a couple minutes for the blades to coast down to stop.
You can visually see on the N1, N2 where the engine will cut off and go to 0, but the rotor indicator will still be slowly coming down.
Where do you think you're at right now, rotor RPM?
Probably about 30%-ish. Yeah, even at 30%, it's still moving fairly fast. But yeah, so back to the tail rotor. Yeah, this is where I wanted to see how it was functioning. So I was giving it a little left rudder just to feel it out. I could physically feel it start to give a little bit of a push and feel it wanting to push me. Little did I know, like maybe a millimeter more forward, and it just started to slip away and
broke friction and the aircraft started to spin on you. Did you think you were going to spin out?
No, I knee-jerked back and
started spinning the other way?
No, I equalized the pedals fast, made sure everything was good, checked everything, and yeah, we just continued it. Yep. The blades at this point are probably about like 20, maybe 15%, just slowly coming down. It takes a minute just to slow it, just for it to come down before you feel comfortable moving around out there. Even still, you're watching the temperature, which should be, at this point, it'd probably be about 300, sitting at 310, just chilling there, and that's what it will stay at for like a good 10 minutes until it slowly starts cooling down. Like even after our last run, it's been like 20-ish minutes, and it's still at like 180.
All right, we're just letting them coast down now.
Yep, they're at about 10%.
All right, call it.
That's good.
Call it there.